whisper to you guys because just behind me is the snakehead tank and they're milling around in just a couple of inches of water. I changed the water yesterday so it's nice and clear. We put a load of frogs in last night, but because it's sloped the bottom of the tank and because the water's still low, a lot of the frogs have found some terra firma to stay on. So the snakehead are a little bit frustrated. I have kept a few frogs over from last night to throw in. Whether they're going to take them or not is another matter because they are easily spooked. Sorry, that's the pump in the background. All right, I'm going to show you that ingenious frog catching device, which TOON knocked up for me. This is the Mark 1. She's got the Mark 2 where they don't escape quite so easily. And they're being fed on about anywhere between 20 and 40 frogs a night, between 10 of them. Remember the remainder of them, so 17 of them, went into the lake. There should have been 19, but 2 have been eaten by the others. So yeah, I'm going to throw these in, and I'm also want to show you how big they've grown because it's quite impressive to say the least. Right, I can see them over the far side, in that far corner. Whoa. Okay, so they're just a couple were just hanging around down here after these little frogs. See if we can see any. There's some there. Soon as they go into the deeper water, that's it, they're nailed straight away. I would say within 5 to 10 minutes, putting 30, 40 frogs in there, they're all gone at night. So let's see, I mean, these aren't fed during the day anymore. This is just always at night time. So when TOON's cooking the dinner, I go out with my frog catching, and after about 20 minutes, I've got 30, 40 frogs or so. So they haven't been fed daytime for quite a while, so I've got no idea if they're going to take them or not. I normally feed them underneath our solar light here and drop the frogs in just down here, and they're waiting for them, but they're obviously staying well away from me. One's going over to his impending death. Oh my god. Yeah, that's gone. That's to try when there's food around, aren't they? Get out. He's a big one, I think. We've just seen what happened to Fred. So what generally happens, a lot of the frogs stay on the side until they get spooked and then swim along. And then that happens. Gone. Just started peeing down again, isn't it? This is one of the reasons that I cleaned the tank out yesterday, because we've been forecast quite a lot of rain yet again. Before I man up and get in the tank with them, which is no drama at all. I wouldn't with the gar like TOON does, but with these, I think they're quite sedate when you get in there. They're very chilled. I was going to say they got a lovely temperament, but it depends. If they're on feeding mode frenzy, then it's quite scary. When you hear the sound that their jaws make when they clamp shut on their prey, it's like a loud clunking sound. It's bizarre. You don't get that with the normal snakehead that we get on the farm, but with these, it's obviously something different with their jaws. It was 3 months almost to the day that we first got these. Originally we got 29, and they were about 2.5 to 3 inches long, very, very skinny. They look like little bananas, bright yellow with black stripes down the side. The markings have totally changed on them. They've gone like horizontal patterning, and I put a photo on the our Facebook page the other day, and someone said that they're almost like a mackerel marking, and I think that's pretty much spot on. None of the blues or greens yet. That will come later on, hopefully. When they're breeding, when they're spawning, but size wise, in 3 months our biggest one has gone up to 29 centimeters, the next one's 28, and then it's just gradually down and down, and the smallest one's just over 20. So yeah, their rate of growth is impressive, but it's not just the length, it's the width. The girth, certainly when after they've been fed, is ridiculous. I mean, they get as fat as the alligator gars in the other tank. Whereas, you know, the common snakehead that we get round here, they're a lot sleeker. You know, they're a long, lean fish. Whereas these, you can see, they're a lot more muscular fish than those. And we're in now. My gnarly farm feet, they don't look like frogs, so we should be all right. So I bet he's crapping himself with this water level coming up here. So when I clean the tank out, I just take the overflow pipe there, which doubles up as a drain pipe. Everything's sloping that way. And we leave them in here, which seems a bit barbaric, but they're air breathers. So I leave the hose running this end, and they generally congregate in that corner. Yeah, it only takes about, from start to finish, about 20 minutes to get the water down. I don't scrape it 100% clean. I just use like a coconut fibre brush, and just give it a light brushing of the algae. We've got loads of snails that we keep in here. Yeah, so I think you can, that one right at the front there, you can see his belly is quite big. So he's probably the one that had the frog. But they're beautiful. I keep on having to wipe the lens clean. I don't want to get nagged by Eddie again for having raindrops on the camera. What I think is a shame with the giant snakehead, they've got an awful reputation with a lot of people. And I don't know whether that's from experience or not, or from the stories that people heard, or you know, they're just a little bit scared of them. But a lot of people have this conception that, and I don't know whether it's a misconception until we put it to the test, that they just eat everything in their path, and anything that comes next to their young, they'll just destroy it, you know, in the blink of an eye. Yes, they are very protective to their brood. What I have noticed in here is we can put, say, 30 gouramis and climbing perch in here, and they won't obliterate them. The frogs they will, but the fish, they'll cohabitate with them in here for quite a few days. And then what I have noticed is, like, midday, they're obviously starting to get a bit peckish, and then they'll start nailing the smaller fish in here. Well, we've still got a climbing perch in here. He's been in here about 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm not so sure that they're as bad as some people make out. Of course, I'm biased. These are my favourite fish out of all the fish that we've got on the farm. Unless I can get hold of some of those Soldier River barb, like ICW caught on the Overrated Angler video recently. What a stunning fish that is. Beautiful. Maybe you can help me, guys. If you know what the name of that Soldier River barb is in Thai, can you let me know, and I'm going to try and get hold of a few to pop in the lake. It is true that they have got an incredible appetite. I mean, they must have a really high metabolism. But then when you look how thick set they are, you think, well, that takes a lot of protein and calcium to keep maintaining that rate of growth. So what I've noticed with the normal snakehead, when we've been growing those, they take a lot longer to grow. It could be that you're thinking, well, Lee, you know, if they're eating, say, 2 or 3 frogs each per day, that's going to be the equivalent to sort of like 4 or 5 fish per day when you pop them in your lake. And, you know, you times that by 10 or 20 or 30 or whatever you put in there, and then they are babies, they're just going to obliterate everything. What I have noticed, the one giant snakehead that I've seen after the flooding, if you're not aware, the dam broke and the lake flooded and loads and loads of fish got out. So we don't know how many we've got in there. We should have 17, but the one that I've seen is smaller than all this lot. And what I put that down to is, most of us like chicken, don't we? Here, it's like KFC delivery. You know, I'm delivering KFC to these every single day. Whereas in the lake, that's a bit like you growing your own chickens free range and you've got to go and catch them, or you're catching them in the wild. You know, you're going to be lean and mean running around catching these chickens. The chickens themselves are going to be lean as well, aren't they? So I think you're going to get a slower rate of growth out in the lake than you do here in the tank. I think in my last video I was talking about one of our ponds that's got some tilapia and a few of the bits and bobs in there. A lot of climbing perch I've got in there, and small snakehead, not this species. What I might do is, when we drain one of the little parts of the irrigation canal, there'll be loads and loads of gouramis. There'll be hundreds, if not thousands, and other silverfish that not particularly valuable to us putting them in the lake. I'm thinking about mega stocking that pond and handing it over to these bad boys. What I am going to do though, for sure, because TOON said I'm allowed, is keep this tank for maybe 2, 3, maybe 4. What I'm going to keep on doing is just gradually thinning them out. So at the moment it's all right, it's about 20 minutes to catch the frogs, but you know, each week they need more and more food. So if I can start thinning them out gradually, say every month I take two or 3 out, and then just leave something that's more manageable, and see how big I can get them. I'm sure they'll be humongous. If we ended up with just 2 in here, I mean, if we could get a breeding pair, I don't know how to tell the difference really, for sure. I mean, their body shape, if it's anything like the normal snakehead, you can generally tell once they get about 200 or 300 grams. Well, TOON can. It's just the body shape. Yeah, she's not been wrong yet, because every time when we catch them for the table, she'll be like, that's a girl, that's a girl, that's a boy, and then she opens them up and you know, you can see. So yeah, hopefully we can spot a big boy and a big girl, and keep them in here, or maybe 2 girls and a boy. I presume they like to stay as a pair, from what I've seen on the internet. Doing that though, I want them for show as well as seeing how big I can get them. So we are going to have to do something about the algae, because this will turn green within 4 or 5 days. It's not harmful to them because they're air breathers, but there's no point in having some absolutely belting fish and not being able to see them all the time. And of course, although it's quite grim for some people, feeding time is spectacular when it's clear water.